Welcome to the Voices of Legacy. This is Pastor Carl, your host today for a journey into the life and times of a very special individual that's near and dear to my heart, as well as an integral part of our community here in northwestern Ohio, southeastern Michigan. We are excited to have none other than, I call him a friend, none other than Mr. Shawn Mahone, entrepreneur, community activist to a certain degree, but someone that's really interested in fostering futures for our young people in this community of all races, cultures, and creeds, not just one in particular. I'm interested to see what Mr. Mahone has to say to us today on the Voices of Legacy. Good morning, Mr. Mahone. How are you?
Good morning. How are you?
Oh, I'm blessed. I cannot complain. Hopefully you are too.
Right. I'm blessed by the best.
Got your coffee this morning?
Yeah. Blessed by the best and highly favored. This water is my coffee for the morning.
All right now. All right. Well, I can't speak to that. I have cocoa with a little bit of coffee mixed into it. But nevertheless, I'm so glad to have you here. I know that there's a lot of stuff that you've done and a lot of stuff for us to talk about in a short period of time. But currently, you're the current director of what organization again?
I'm actually the executive director and founder of Young Men and Women for Change Academy.
Gotcha. Mm-hmm. And do you have a background in finance as well?
No, I have a background in criminal justice.
Criminal justice. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Wow. Man, that's interesting. So you, instead of locking them up, you're redirecting them.
Trying. Trying.
That's awesome. And is your organization, again, is Young Men
and Women for Change.
For Change.
And Change Academy.
And that's based in Toledo?
Right here in Toledo,
Gotcha.
Ohio.
But you travel a lot too.
I do. So we actually have clients all across the country. So the work that we do is much needed. We'll get in, talking about that, but it's much needed, not just locally, but globally.
Gotcha. So could you explain the gist of exactly what it is that you do?
Yeah, so what we are exactly what it is. We are a behavior modification boot camp program. Let me explain to you what the boot camp stands for. Mm-hmm. The boot stands for Behavior, Obedience, Observational Training. Mm-hmm. The camp stands for Community Adolescent Modification Program. Mm-hmm. So it's a program designed helping youth, both male and female, ages 5 to 17, youth that are just simply making unhealthy choices in life. So we're talking about the youth that's being disrespectful, disobedient, defiant, unruly, lying, stealing, cheating, getting in trouble in school, getting suspended, getting kicked out, and even the youth that's been diagnosed with ADHD and ADD.
Yep. Sounds like you need to up age and go ahead and get some of our politicians in your program.
Absolutely.
For what you're offering. What's the average age?
The average age that we see right now will be between the ages of 8 and 15. Where we're starting to see, when I first started this program 18 years ago, I founded it. And
hold on, wait a minute. You look a little bit too young to be talking about 18 years ago. But I'm not going to ask your age, not yet, but go ahead.
18 years ago in the basement of a church, God had gave me a vision and I birthed this program. I was actually living in Louisville, Kentucky. And from Toledo, from the inner city.
Originally,
yeah. So I'm from the 700 block of Oakwood.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, which turned into...
You from the hood.
I'm from the hood, right?
B-A-H-O-O-D.
Right. So when we started this back 18 years ago, we were getting a lot of between the ages of like 10 and 17. But the dynamics have changed over the years where because behaviors are not being modified and because there's no tough love approach and because there's no accountability, it's getting younger and younger.
And I think we've all seen that. And my question immediately is, why do you think that's so?
Because unfortunately, the hands have been tied behind the backs of parents. When we were growing up, there was some discipline that took place, and it didn't hurt us, but it helped us to be where we're at today.
It might not have hurt you.
Well,
I remember my mama saying, "This is going to hurt you more than." I was like, "No, ma'am, no, it's going to hurt me."
Right.
But it worked.
It worked. So we're at a place now where parents are at a loss, and when you have a juvenile court here in Lucas County that is not allowing our organization to be a help, then parents are crying out for help, and the revolving door continues to happen. And so
how many children have you had through your program?
Through one of our programs, we've had over 1,000 plus youth and parents come through our Dose of Reality program, which we can talk about.
So over 1,000, but
over 18 years, we're talking about well over 5,000 children.
Wow.
Yeah.
And you just said that there's no support from juvenile,
There is no support from juvenile.
meaning that they're not referring anybody that's going into juvenile courts or the system to you for your redirection program.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep, which is sad, and I dealt with this now for 18 years. The reason being is because the juvenile court said they didn't want anything to do with boot camp. But through our research and through our census that we've done, 90% of the people that have come through our program are individuals that were begging and pleading, is there any type of boot camp or any type of Scare Straight program? And they just failed to give that information out. I think my fight was with the court was, I'm not asking for any finances. I'm just asking, let me help.
Yeah.
For those children that you can't do anything with because they're too young or just because they need some type of probation or something. Why not teach our children accountability?
Yes.
And let's make this educational where now when they come to our program, which individuals have come through our program and gone back to court, the magistrates even said, if I didn't know any better, I would say that you've been to some type of boot camp because now young men and women are definitely in the courtroom saying, sir, yes, sir, sir, no, sir. They're standing at parade rest. They're able to have articulate to the magistrate or judge how this program has been effective to help save their life.
So you're not looking for financing, you're just looking to be a help.
Just to be a help because, again, it's sad when parents are crying out for help, and we've had...
And I'd say the children. Most of the children in my profession as a minister, I get them just like you probably do, in crisis, and then unfortunately a lot of times I get them after something's been committed, either somebody's incarcerated or worse yet, someone has passed away, like the gentleman that was just shot, I don't know, 4 or 5 times, and he lived, but nobody knows what happened. Nobody's saying anything. What you said, no accountability.
Right.
But it's amazing to experience. So it seems like there should be some type of support coming towards the program that you've had now for, again, how many years?
18 years.
That's been somewhat effective, if not very effective. That doesn't make good sense. And I'm wondering, maybe I'm being too inquisitive, why that is or should be, or what can you do, or what do you think you can do to change that dynamic?
The reality of it is, and just keeping it all the way real, is that I don't believe that they have a problem with the program. I believe they have a problem with the person being of color running the program. And we have to address the injustice that's taking place in our community.
That's amazing, because I know, and not to keep cutting you off, but I know most of the children that you help actually aren't of color.
Right. So 98% of our clientele is white. And I'll give you an example what I mean by that. Since 2016, I have talked to retired Chief George Carl, right? Carl. And I said to him, hey, I just want to be a help to the officers because I know they're going on calls dealing with children and they don't want to take them downtown because as soon as they get booked, 15 minutes to an hour later, the parent has to come and pick their child up. We just want to be able to present you with some literature where you're able to give to your officers, because what we run into is when I'm out in the community de-escalating issues with youth, the police will be there and then they will be like, oh my God, what type of program is this? And I go, well, it's a boot camp program. How come we don't know anything about it? I said, because your chief is not allowing you to know anything about it. So that was in 2016 when I tried to talk to the chief and he never got back with me. I called him in 2020 during COVID, and I asked him, why, what happened. He said, well, Shawn, I went and talked to some black parents, and they told me the reason why they don't send children to your program is because they discipline their own children. And I said, really? And he said, yeah. I said, so let me help you understand something. We have 2 problems here. He said, what's that? I said, the first problem is you racially profile me because you thought because of me being an African-American male, you thought I was helping black families. Second thing is 98% of our clientele is white. He go, really? I said, yeah, they come from all across the country to Toledo to get the help that they need. This is what he says in return. Shawn, I tell you what, I'm going to come and check out your program. If you can sell me on your program, I can make it happen with some literature to my officers. He was a no call, no show, And so I told him when I seen him again, I said, excuse me for saying this. I said, the next time you piss on me, tell me it's raining,
Yeah.
And so even through his retirement, he never, ever. So it's a game being played in city government. You have the chief of police that's not allowing the officers to know that there's a program, a very successful program that is willing to help, right? Now you have a juvenile court that is not telling the community that is crying out for the help that there's a program here. So we continue to keep having the violence that keep climbing. Yes. We're going to have more and more younger individuals that's going to die, unfortunately, or end up in the prison yard or the graveyard based upon parents being failed to be provided the information that they need, which is very, very sad.
Yeah.
And so when you really don't have a voice or you don't have people that support and stand up, it makes things a little bit difficult.
So it sounds like we need to create a voice.
That's right.
I was thinking as you were talking of figures like Prince or Michael Jackson that circumvented their ethnicity, and even Michael Jordan, another Michael, that got to a level of success where people didn't think about what they look like. It's what they did and what they offered. Mm-hmm. And I think with the success that you've seen thus far, that maybe, and this is just my presumption, maybe the direction that you're going. If your success is taking you to other places and people are sending their children here and you're having success here in the place that you're based in, I think the only way to move forward locally would be to circumvent the powers that be and get to where the service that you render is needed, and just be successful in that. And inevitably, you'll embarrass, and I know I'll probably get in trouble for saying this, but that's okay, embarrass those that are empowered to actually get involved in what it is that you're offering. Mm-hmm. If I think the definition of insanity, as people have attributed this quote to, what was the guy? Albert Einstein, and it's within question whether he actually said it or not. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. We've been electing the same officials over and over again, and we've gotten the same results, but people cry out for change, but they're not really voting for change. They're voting for the status quo. We need to kind of get around that by, one, you not giving up,
right, right,
and secondly, going around the gatekeepers to the source and make them accountable as you're, and I guess I'm on a soapbox right now. You're supposed to be talking, making the powers that be accountable, just as you and your program are making the children learn the benefits of accountability, if that makes sense.
It makes a lot of sense, and I'm always going to say that nothing changes if nothing changes. Yeah. And so when we're not holding city government accountable, we're not holding juvenile court accountable, we're not holding the police department accountable, this is what's going to take place in our community. Mm-hmm. And it's unfortunate because the one thing that we need to do is, again, we got to be able to change leadership in our community.
Yes.
And so that's starting at the top.
Mayor
Mahone. So
Mayor Shawn, I call you that all the time.
Right, absolutely.
You be trying to ignore me on your podcast. We're going to talk about that too.
Yeah. So something has to change, and you got to be able to really be for the people, and you got to want to be for what's right, not taking the leadership position and being, for lack of words, being pompous about it, but being able to really be for the people.
Not pompous, but you have to be confident.
You have to be confident.
Yeah,
I agree. Yeah. But you have to have a heart for the people.
Exactly.
You have to have a heart for the people. And when I see that the leadership is weak, and we continue to have the things that we have in our community, it makes things so difficult. Yeah. Because my thing is not the now, what about the later?
Yes.
What can we do now to prevent what's going on so we don't have to deal with a bigger issue later on? And so that makes things just even more difficult.
That's true. And you're sowing seeds, because even the leadership and even the children, every person, and I believe in the soul-bearing nature of humanity, is a human being, and they have an eternal soul, and that's definitely one of my personal concerns. But we should appreciate the humanity of everybody, even those leaders, to inspire the type of change that we need. We need to be the change agent, and we can't do that unless we are effectively inside of the belly of the beast and working our way out. I think a lot of people get discouraged and remove themselves from the process, and I'm thankful that you haven't. I know it's probably been tempted. I've been to I want to quit this crap, place. So I'm thankful that you haven't stopped. Let's talk about your podcast really quickly in our last few moments before we get to the big question at the end.
Okay.
What's going on with the podcast?
The podcast
The
is doing the unedited
Uncensored.
podcast of Check-In. It's doing great. We're getting close to 2,000 views a week. People are checking in from all across the country: Atlanta, California, Texas,
All right.
Washington D.C. They're coming in from all over because I wanted to build a platform for the people,
Yes.
and to help inspire and help push people to be greater in life.
All right.
And so, how do we do that? We got to speak life into people. And help them to believe that they can be great in life.
Awesome. We're not going to get any Bernie Mac today.
Hold on, let me tell you something right now. I'm trying to tell you what I know. And I'm on the podcast. I'm trying to tell them so I don't know what listening.
See, to our listeners, that's an inside joke. You have to go to Shawn Mahone's Facebook page. And are you on YouTube as well?
No, I'm not on YouTube.
Okay.
Just, yeah.
And check out the podcast on Wednesdays. What time?
5 to 6.
5 to 6.
Yeah.
And you'll get the full gist of the inside joke. But you guys have fun, and you actually do hit some of the same issues we're talking today with levity, and I think that's very effective. I remember Sanford and Son. Everybody knows Sanford and Son. There was like a point to each one of those shows, and he made those points with so much laughter you don't even know that you're being taught anything. Mm-hmm. That's, I think, the same thing, or at least the opportunity that I see in what you're doing.
So we got to be able to, one thing we have to do is that we have to be very transparent.
Yes.
And we have to be a voice for the voiceless.
Yes.
And I said on one of my podcast shows, I said, unfortunately, we have people that have put themselves in position and compromised themselves for
Position.
and
Power,
power. And for nothing to
Cheesecake.
change, because what I'm looking at is an issue that we have going on in our city right now with the young man being attacked by the K-9.
Yeah.
You know, and they want to put they want to put a focus on K-9 policies, right? I'm not concerned about the policies. What I'm concerned about is how do we bridge the gap of brokenness between law enforcement and the black community?
Exactly.
How do we have healthy relationships with law enforcement? So there has to be, coming from the top, you have to have an individual in the seat of chief of police to be about community. And what does that look like? That means you got to tell your officers on your beat, you got to get out and walk.
Yeah, you should know the people that you serve.
Right. You should be out there,
Yeah.
or nothing else. Put a rack on the back of your bike, on the back of your vehicle, put a bike back there and ride it. And that's what I've experienced in Louisville, Kentucky, is that it was about getting out in the community and building those relationships.
Amen.
Yeah.
Awesome. And Coffee with the Cop, look it up. But people should search out, I think, the opportunities to interact with police too. It should be both ways.
Correct.
We need to humanize each other. They're not our enemy. Neither are all the people in the hood, what we started talking about, are all suspects. If we humanize each other, if we respect each other back to the humanity of the individuals, then we're less likely to presume either way. If there were less presumption, if there were a relationship between the officers in that felony stop, that's what they were doing, and that person, they wouldn't even presume that he was the guy. They would automatically seem like, oh, it's not him. Let's go get whoever we're looking for. But there was no relationship there. So there's presumptions on both sides that led to misconduct that has to be held accountable. We can't avoid that,
Right.
By just putting out press releases and things of that nature. But we're almost out of time. The big question.
The big question.
Are you ready?
I'm ready. Go ahead.
Okay. What do you think your legacy is currently?
Currently, my legacy is to make sure that the youth that I've served and the youth that I'm serving become those world changers. They become those world changers. They are the people that's going to make greater choices and decisions for our country. And that's what's important. That's what I fight for.
Our future leaders.
Our future leaders. That's what I fight for.
Our future police officers.
That's right. That's right.
Mayors, hopefully.
That's right.
Yeah.
So that's where it all stems from, is that I need to make sure that somebody's son or daughter is going to be successful in life because they understand that between goals and achievements is discipline and consistency.
Awesome. So it sounds like you're more focused on being effective than being relevant.
Correct.
That's awesome. I like that. That's one of my pet peeves. Lastly, I guess it's the same question, just a little bit different. What would you like your legacy to be?
Is that I leave this city one day being the man of God that God called me to be the leader that he called me to be, and to impact and transpire greatness into people's lives.
Awesome. That's an awesome place to close. Well, we thank you for joining us for the Voices of Legacy, Mr. Shawn Mahone. I almost feel like a producer, we need some applause on this. But I'm so thankful that you joined with us for this platform. As we're thankful for everybody that has a heart for the community that they reside in. Being in ministry, I believe that churches and ministries should be effective in the communities that we serve. And it's not just for the church to do, it's for the community leaders, it's for the politicians, it's for every resident to appreciate the humanity of each other and love each other in action and not just in word. We're thankful for what you're doing. We look forward to, I think you're heading towards a new level. I'm enjoying what you're doing with the podcasting and whatnot, intermingling that with what you're already doing. Yeah.
So there will be an announcement coming soon.
I kind of figured that. But thank you so much for joining us. Hopefully we can get you back another time.
Appreciate you. Thank you so much. God bless you.
God bless you too. Thank you again for joining us for the Voices of Legacy. This is Pastor Carl E. Mitchell III, your host. We thank God for you. We pray that you have a blessed day. And remember, you're writing your legacy every day that you live. Help somebody today. Wherever you are, be kind, be nice, be compassionate, and show love. And have a blessed day.
WGTE. Voices Around Us.
WGTE is supported in part by the American Rescue Plan Act funds allocated by the City of Toledo and the Lucas County Commissioners and administered by the Arts Commission. For more information about the Voices Around Us podcast project, please visit WGTE.org. You may also listen to all Voices Around Us podcasts at WGTE.org/VAU, the WGTE app, or wherever you get your podcasts online.